Hello and welcome to another dragon drawing with the dragon story. This is a continuation of a previous video where we mapped out our dragon in a 3/4 view. And so this video, I'm just gonna do a quick line art pass. So with this video, we're just trying to get to I'm just doing an ink drawing to get to a finished state. And so yeah, let's just jump right in and start kind of finishing the line work. I'll create a new layer. Oh, I already did. So we got the new layer. Let's tone this one down. And again, if you're drawing traditional art, just do your sketch really lightly. And even if you draw a whole bunch of rough sketches, then come back and do your finished one, your final one really light, then you just draw on top of it. I've become really spoiled with digital, but this also helps because then I can draw darker to make the video. Okay, so let me just grab my ink brush. And don't make fun of me for using a calligraphy brush. I need to experiment with other ones. And so since this is a full body, a lot of times I have more detail in the face. So I'm gonna have to be really careful. Oops, I think my brush is too big, yeah. Wow, that brush is way too small. That brush is just right. And normally, for a lot of drawings, I go back and really map out the line work. And so I apologize. A lot of this is just coming from my knowledge of drawing dragons. And so there's a lot that I'm just kind of winging it versus really figuring it out. Because when I do like a charcoal sketch, I go back in and create all the line work and then assess that. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the previous videos or like the advanced videos where you see my whole process, I mean, you'll see that. Okay. Let's add in like a second row. So, and this is what I mean. I'm just kind of winging some of this on the fly, which is not very fair in a tutorial type of video. But the whole point was figuring out the body. And he's got this kind of cool, oh, is that like water buffalo style horns? Give it a little dimension, which is going to prove challenging. Oops, I forgot the other horns. Okay, get those main scales. Is there an official name for that? I don't even know. Spine scales, spine horns. Get that going on the other side. Oh, see, I don't like that. That was a good example of, you know, the line was just not quite confident. That's swooping in there. This should swoop out here. I don't think that horn is too short. Nope. I just meant to grab that. You do have to be careful because then that sacrifices the quality of your line work. I'm just going to redo this. Okay, let's back up. That looks like it's the same width. Nope. Okay, good. That's a little bit better. Oh wait, let's look at this versus the way this looks. And let me just clean that up. These heads are always complicated, and I chose to do these crazy horns. I said I'd keep it simple, but obviously not. Okay, good enough. Let's get back to, and a lot of times the bottom of the jaw connects, with kind of like the side of the neck. And the center one comes right down there. Maybe we'll give this dragon some spikes on his chin. But then I'll smooth them out just to keep the drawing a little simple. Because then we can do cool stuff like this. But I should really make sure I finish the structure before I get into some of those details. Finish the neck. For example, we got the shoulder blade right here. But the neck kind of continues down. Actually, I think I need my brush a little bit bigger. The center of the chest. Another forearm. No, I don't like that. Let's get this wing done. And remember, just think of hands. Like there's this big knuckle there. There's the knuckle of the thumb. I mean, they're obviously kind of warped hands. Well, not warped, just modified. Oh yeah, let me get the finger structure. And if you're just getting started, you can just kind of throw in these lines for the wings. Because then you have to practice. You end up you need to practice like the bone structure and the webbing, and sometimes it's a pain in the butt. And even sometimes I'll just like default, hey, that looks good enough. But see, like if you look at this wing, so that finger's there, but technically so is that. So this line really shouldn't be there. And then we have to imagine, does this, we have to imagine, okay, if this line is swooping out under here, that has to connect with one of the fingers, which may be like this one. See, and this is why you just need to practice wings in general, like all the time. No, let's do this. Let me erase this. Okay, sorry, and I should have mapped this out. So let's just say that this is, you know, the webbing, whereas that finger then kind of connects right there. And then we just adjust this one. See, and it's tough when wings are so long, you want this like, you want all your lines to be flowing. And I like the way this looks. I just have to make sure that the wings above it make sense with it. And so what you do is, I mean, you have like the bone structure, but then you'll also have like the webbing in between that can sometimes create some of these shapes. You know, and so then if this is the dragon's forearm, sorry, if this right here is the dragon's forearm, you know, there's some webbing or anyway, I mean, this could be a better wing, but I'm not too worried. I'm just trying to keep it simple. And so remember, if we're imagining the elbow, then we've got the upper arm that connects to the chest muscle. Oh, and then the inner wing. Let's have this connect up somewhere back there. Oops, and you can see I was zoomed into this face because my line thickness is smaller on the head than the wings, but that's okay. We're just finishing this. And you always want to practice because these ink lines, and I keep saying this, they are not tracing the underlying sketch. The underlying sketch is just there to help me make sure I'm following the right proportions and form and all that stuff. Each ink line indicates my knowledge of what it should look like. And so you're still completely redrawing your drawing. It's like building a base, but the clay on the top, it needs to be more accurate. I mean, we follow some lines, but we can't trust them to look like finished lines. So we came in and drew sort of this, you know, scale or horn texture kind of on the side. So a lot of times I'll just follow that line and then just draw these little things. And then I just kind of make them smaller as they fade out. Because this is a lot simpler than trying to erase. Like if I drew a single line and drew all these on top of it, then I have to go back and erase it. Okay, then we've got the spine and the scales coming down that. Oh, I ended up making these a little bit smaller. So I'll just indicate some on the other side. He kind of has thicker scales. I'm going to start fading them out. Ooh, this is a great artist trick. So we don't have to be really talented and make sure it looks like he's got these long swooping scales turning in 3D space, you just simplify them, because it's easy to keep the tail going, but it's tough keeping the scales going. Because then look, I'm going to pick it back up right here where it's super easy to draw. You know, then he kind of has this threatening tail. You know, and maybe I can still carry some of those side spikes as they come swooping around. See, that doesn't flow very well. That line, I think, flows pretty good. That is something you're always going to have to check, and this is why you draw all the time. It's figuring out how to make the perfect shape in one swoop. I still think that's odd. That's not twisting normal. A lot of times you can hide that, but it still looks like a, it's like a hose that has a kink in it. But maybe we just give him a couple little spikes here at the end. And yeah, be sure to follow that spine line all the way through. Oh, I gotta draw these. Interesting fact, and I'm sure I say it all the time, so maybe it's not that interesting. Maybe it's boring, but I treat my dragons as if these are feet, not hands. And I know everyone has like a different approach to it. But I see the wings as being the hands, and then these are all feet. Let's just come in here quickly. And there are times when, if you just kind of indicate some of these lines, we don't have to get like super into the weeds of like exactly where the wings should be going or how they should flow. Because I mean, it still looks kind of cool. I might change this so it looks a little more webbed. Okay, and so then this is, oh, let's get in this paw. Which sometimes it looks weird, but then it's going to be weird if it's not there. Because there's a lot going on right there. I'd prefer not to do that. But again, if this was a finished drawing, you would probably make that really dark because it's back in space. Okay, let me turn off the background layer. And then we look at our dragon in 3D space. We're like, it's kind of cool looking. I mean, I start seeing issues like the thickness of that horn. It's not the same as that horn. Normally, I would spend a lot of time on this line work phase to just review and try and identify any proportion issues, structure issues, those kinds of things. And then, of course, let's flip it. Oh, yeah, see? And you guys may have all seen this, but those eyes are like wonky. So that matches a little bit better. a little bit. Oops, that's way too big. You know, but it's not too bad. That face needs a lot of work, but just reviewing it. Overall, there's a lot of little things that I'm noticing. But overall, this is still capturing a good pose of the dragon. And so, I mean, really, if you're drawing this on your own, you just go through and revise this line work and touch up some of those things that you might see, especially in the face. But yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to go through and just add in some finishing details. But, you know, some of that takes a little bit of time. So I'll probably just speed up the video and just kind of cruise through and build those out. So... All right, so it's not the most perfect drawing or most refined, but that's okay. I mean, my goal is to do these really quick and simple and help show like how we can like design and build our dragons in 3D space. Because once you understand the form and the structure, and then you can warp that form and structure, like because I'll get to some later videos where we do some more reptilian body designs and some alternate body designs. But then that's when you can start adding all the fun features, whether it's like the types of horns, the types of scale, the type of neck, type of head, type of claws, types of tails. But as long as you understand the form, the basis, then you can just create endlessly. So I'm going to leave this one at this level. Just call it done. It's a nice ink drawing. Obviously, could use more details, more shading, all that stuff, but I think we're good. So thanks for watching this series as we build out our dragon in 3D space. Be sure to subscribe, check out some of my other videos. And yeah, thanks again for watching.